Hi, I'm Gladys Baisa. I'm here today to introduce a presentation to you that you're about to watch. The name of it is In Her Own Voice, and it tells the story of women of Hawaii and their experiences with drugs, imprisonment, and their struggles to re-enter society. I'm a Maui girl. I was born and raised in Maui, went to Old Maui High School, and have spent the majority of my life here. Most recently, for the past 37 years, I was the director of Maui Economic Opportunity, better known as MEO. Growing up here on Maui, I have watched the changes that have happened here. Some of them have been wonderful, and some of them have been really not wonderful. And one of the bad things that has happened is illegal drugs and the bad things that have come about as a result of that. One of the things that we see with this drug problem is that people who offend, many of them, are sent off to the mainland. And when that happens, they are denied the support of family and the opportunity to be with their children and to reestablish relationships that are broken because of drug abuse. They also are cut off from reintegrating back into their families and into society. This creates more problems because many times unable to find a home or a job or to have transportation and what they need, they reoffend and wind up back in the facility. This is not a good thing. We're going to show you a program tonight that talks about personal experiences and how this drug affects people's lives. I hope that you pay attention and that you will ask yourself the question, how can I help? You can help by being a part of the solution. The solution is to help programs like BEST and to help other programs that provide support services, comprehensive services, to bring our brothers and sisters and our ohana back into the productive part of Maui's society. And now, let's just sit back and enjoy the show. Aloha.
I could experiment.
I started out just selling it.
It made me feel like a better dancer.
I wasn't shy anymore. I could talk to people.
Because I wasn't lonely anymore.
One time. Hell, I thought you could do anything one time. Not ice.
I didn't care anymore.
It meant more to me than sports. My scholarship.
I stole from my family.
It meant more to me than my children.
When I ran out of drugs, I stole. If I didn't care about me, I certainly didn't care about you.
I thought I could experiment. Not with ice. Not with ice.
For ice, I traded my family, my self-respect, my children, my dignity, being at my mother's side when she died, my career. Did you even know I had a career? My body, my fiancé, my children, my savings, my damn freedom, my home, and my teeth.
My name's Lee Stein, and I'm going to talk to you about how girls and women find themselves drug involved and sometimes in the detention system and in prison, in jail. Part of what happens very frequently is that women and girls have experienced trauma and difficulties at home to the level that they want to get away from the pain. They want to separate from the problems and the discomfort that's there. And often that leads young girls and women to experiment with drugs.
What are you looking at? They arrested me. They fingerprinted me. They made me strip. Where do you think I'm gonna hide something? They took away all my stuff. And then they put my name in the newspaper. I don't know who I'm gonna sue first.
Once there's some sort of entry into the drug world, it becomes easier and easier to use stronger and more potent drugs once you've crossed that line. And so if we're looking at crystal methamphetamine or ice use here in Hawaii, one of the things that I've seen in research about girls and women that end up in prison is that often they have early childhood traumas in their families and they self-medicate. So they want to feel better and they self-medicate with alcohol, pot, other kinds of drugs. And then as they get older and get exposed to harder core drugs, ice can be offered to them. And one of the things that girls and women often experience the very first time that they use that drug is that they feel fantastic.
From then on, a chance to cop a high I would never deny. I was often as cold as smoke in my eyes, and I no longer knew what it meant to be nice. Myself I locked up and put away, out of sight from him, the world, and the road of my own dismay. Not always understood this mode of behavior. With so much pain in my life, a moment of relief is what I might savor. A road maker I haven't always been. Today is my objective to get to the end. And there are no losers in this life called a game. A child of God is who I am, without this toxic shame.
My name is Joe Amico, and I'm a pre-sentence investigator for the probation department here on Maui. And I'm going to tell you somewhat of a sad tale about a woman who's been involved in the criminal justice system because of her use of crystal methamphetamine, or better known as ice. She was picked up on charges of possession of crystal methamphetamine and paraphernalia, which is 2C felonies. She's a 51-year-old woman and has 3 children, 17, 18, and 21, I believe. She started using ice in 1998, which is only 5 years ago, prior to her being arrested. And she really didn't have much of a drug history before that, or at least that was what she reported to me. She was asked to, she changed her plea. She was asked to report to me as a probation officer so she could be sentenced. She fails to show up for her appointment with me. When her time for sentencing comes around, the judge asked her why she didn't report. She said she forgot. The judge says, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you another week. You go down and report, and we'll sentence you the following week. She again doesn't report to me. When it was time for her sentencing, she fails to show up for her sentencing. A warrant goes out for her arrest in this case. She's picked up on the warrant. She winds up spending over 100 days in jail. And then at that point, I go into jail to interview her. She says that her addiction to ice was so great that she couldn't face the charges before her. So what happens is I do the pre-sentence report. She reports to the courts. She gets sentenced, gets released, told to report to the probation office so she could get into treatment. She fails to report to the probation office once again. A warrant goes out for her arrest. She spends another 100 days in jail this time, waiting sentencing on a revocation of probation. The judge tells her, report to probation when you get released from jail and we'll get you into treatment. Again, she fails to show up. A warrant goes out for her arrest the second time, second revocation. This time the judge's fed up with her. She says that she just can't report, she just can't cooperate. The judge says, okay, you're going to have to go to prison. She gets 3 years into prison. She finally gets released. She'll be released from prison, placed on parole. This is a woman who, if she was supposed to get no jail time and only treatment if she had just reported to probation. But because of her addiction to crystal methamphetamine, or better known as ice, she's now spent over 3 years of her life in prison, and her prospects of success are even less now than they were when she was originally arrested.
You're looking well, Mildred.
Liar. You told me you had something really important to talk to me about. What is so important that you couldn't tell me on the phone?
Well, Mildred, I brought some papers by for you to sign. Now, before you do or say anything, let me finish. Hear me out. I put a lot of thought into this, and this is going to be best for me, and it's also going to turn out to be the best for you. I've stood by you through all this, Mildred, through this ordeal, and I've never missed a visiting Sunday. I don't know why you took that money, and I don't know why you thought you would get caught. But we've lost friends and...
Matt, I'll sign the papers. You can have your divorce.
Divorce? Who said anything about a divorce? I want to sell the house. I want us to move. I want to stay. I know you're going to have to stay in the area because you'll be on parole for a while. But I want to start all over again. I'm looking for a new beginning. I've missed you, Mildred, these past 2 years, 5 months, and 28 days.
And I miss you.
I love you, sweetheart.
Matt, this is going to sound crazy. In a way, don't take it wrong, but I think this was a blessing from God, my being sent here. For years, I lied to myself. I lied to you. I told myself I was just borrowing money from the company and that I'd pay it back. After a while, I knew I'd never pay it back. I just feel so blessed that I will have a loving and supporting home to come back to when I leave here. Most of these girls have no place to go when they leave here, except back to the drug environment they came from. Most of them don't have any real job skills, and they tell me how hard it is to find work when they're out there, when they come back. And most of them do come back.
I love you, Mildred.
And I love you. You know, man, I'm like a tutu to some of these girls. Who'd have thought an old white woman crook like me would be? A new beginning. I like that.
Another thing that we really know about women that end up in our prison system is that prisons were built for men, and so they were built for violent criminals, and women are very rarely violent. And so often the way women are treated when they're incarcerated, when they're in jail and prison, is extremely traumatizing in and of itself. And very few prisons have treatment programs for women. And instead of being able to heal from the initial trauma, women are actually in a punitive environment, which makes things much, much worse. And often our systems in Hawaii don't provide education and other opportunities.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Long way from my home. Long way from my home. Motherless children have such a hard time. Motherless children have a hard time. Motherless children have such a hard time. Long way Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Long way from my home. Long way from my home.
The BEST reintegration program is one of the ways that we can promote successful reintegration. BEST provides training, education, and support services in the areas of case management, housing, employment, family reunification, cultural renewal, cognitive skills, substance abuse treatment, mental health, and other support services. We provide support services in those areas because they have been identified as barriers to successful reintegration. By all means, the BEST program is not the only way that we can support successful reintegration. We can do so by also volunteering and donating our time and resources to other community programs and educational institutes that address the factors that often contribute to incarceration and the cycle. And those areas are poverty, lack of education, broken family and homes, violence in the homes, and histories of substance abuse. By addressing those areas, we can help prevent our keiki from going into prison, and also those who, once they enter, if we provide treatment and training in those areas, that they do not have to repeat the cycle of incarceration. And it's a very sad day when we look at the numbers in our community and realize that children whose parents are incarcerated are 6 times more likely to end up in prisons ourselves. And we have to look at ways to break that cycle of incarceration.
You look real good. How you doing, baby? I'm doing good. How you doing, Big Mama? How the kids? I've been getting their little pictures and the colors that they've been painting. How's Darren's asthma? Oh, it ain't that bad. He's done had just one. Been doing real good on it. Has Ray been by? No, baby, I ain't seen Ray. He ain't sent no money for his kids, neither. Oh, he probably hadn't started making his money. Mama, you know Ray. When he start making his money, he'll be bringing some money by for the kids. Oh, Jean. Jean, I ain't seen hide nor hair from Ray. Now, I haven't seen nothing with his name on it. I ain't seen a birthday card, a money order, or a Christmas present in the 3 years. Did you get the pictures I sent you of the kids? Mercedes had on a little pink sundress. She a perfect little lady. Oh, you'd be so proud of her. Oh, child, Mercedes reminds me so much of you when you was that age. Has any mail come for me, Big Mama? Maybe Ray didn't want to send any mail directly here. No, baby. I ain't seen Ray Henderson, and I ain't seen nothing with his name on it. Not a money order, not a check, or nothing with his name on it. Something not in 3 years. Oh, boy. You think I'll end up like Mama? Oh, child. I promised myself I'd never be like her. I never do drugs, and I never end up in this place. I remember when we used to come up here to visit her, and all the little kids, you know, we used to pretend that everything was normal. And then when it was time for us to go home and all the little ones started crying, nope, not me. No way. Big Mama, I promised myself I'd never end up like her. I hate her. Damn if I didn't end up like her. Look at me. Big Mama, we can't go and blame Ray. If it hadn't been him, it would have been another user. Big Mama, there was always a man. Ray just happened to be the one who turned me on to eyes. Big Mama, sometimes I don't know. I don't know if it's Ray I miss or the eyes. They both all rolled up together, Big Mama. Ray just...
Basta! Enough! I'm learning Spanish. I've heard enough about Ray. Ray is about as useless as two tits on a bull. I ain't never, ever in my whole born days seen a man about as sorry as Ray Henderson. My girl. Girl, look at me.
Yes, ma'am.
Look, you got two kids that need you.
I know, Big Mama. I know.
I know. You know, I read something the other day. It's a paper I read by two researchers. They did a study, and the study shows that 6 to 7 times more likely people like you in prison, their kids end up in prison. Do you want Mercedes to end up in a place like this?
Ma'am.
Oh, my goodness gracious. You know, I come up here, and I look at you, and I look at all these other women, and I wonder what's gonna happen to they kids and they kids' kids. My goodness. At my church alone, I cannot tell you how many mothers and grandmothers is raising their kids and their kids' kids. It's awful. It's a shame. You women, you're woman enough to have these babies. You ought to be woman enough to take care of them. It's not like you can put them back.
Hello, Mrs. Ramos. My name is Mike Moore. I'm a reporter with the Chronicle. Thanks for meeting with me today. I followed your case. I followed the trial. I read the transcripts to your trial. I have a friend in the DA's office. I think that you got a raw deal.
And you think you can save me?
Well, I didn't say that. For the past month, I've been working on a story about women lifers, and most of the cases are about women who've killed their husbands, abusive husbands or boyfriends. And there's something else I found, and that there was a large history of drug abuse in the house and in all those homes. I think there's a story in this that people need to hear, and I think I would appreciate it if you could help me.
You think you really could help somebody?
I think with your trial coming up, there's a good chance.
Mr. Moore, I'll give you your story, but you gotta make me a promise. You gotta do something for me.
Anything, Angie.
Make me no promises, okay? And I'll tell you no lies. Where should we begin?
Begin at the beginning, wherever you want.
My husband's was part Japanese, part Filipino, part Hawaiian. And for the life of me, I don't know what part of him gave him the idea that he had the right to kick my ass. He used to laugh at some of the things I said. He thought it was cute. I mean, I was from a small town in Arkansas. Look, Mr. Moore.
Mike.
Mike, look, Mike. I come from a long line of trailer trash. That's all I ever know. That's all I ever thought I'd be. Jesse, that Jesse Ramos, he was from Hawaii. He knew how to dress. He knew how to talk to a woman. I mean, he even had a good job. He even owned his own house. My daddy, all his life, he never owned his own home. Well, we had a trailer once on a couple of acres. I mean, he was from Hawaii. I never even knew anybody that had ever been to Hawaii. That Jesse. He made me feel special. He used to tell me how pretty I was. I knew it wasn't true, but I liked hearing it anyway.
Angie, when did things start to change?
He started hitting me when I got pregnant with our first child, Charlie. I got pregnant, and he got mean.
Your babies need you. I need you. Darren and Mercedes need they mama. Lord knows I need you, child. Y'all seem to think that Big Mama gonna live forever. I thank God. I thank God that I'm still here. And I thank God for every day that he puts life in my body. And I thank God that I still get around pretty good. But look at here. Look at me when I'm talking to you.
Yes, ma'am.
I raised you. And Doris, oh, God rest her soul. She didn't kill herself, baby. Your mama didn't kill herself. The drugs killed her. And just because the drugs got to her and killed her don't mean that the same thing gonna happen to you. Now look, you done got yourself all cleaned up, yeah, and you're gonna be coming on up out of here, okay? But let me tell you something, baby. You got about as much chance of making it as a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest if you go back to that Ray Henderson.
Everything changed when he started selling ice.
You said Jesse worked?
Oh, Jesse did. He had a great job. He was a chef at one of the resorts, and he made a lot of money. But he wanted more, a lot more. But I told him, you keep it away from me and the kids. And he did.
Angie, there's more to it, isn't there?
He started smoking it, and he changed. He wasn't my Jesse anymore. I just made him mean, and made him angry. My God, I never knew when or why he was going to be hitting me. But I guess he never really needed a reason.
Mom.
You know, sometimes I be thinking, and I know this is a sin to say this, but I just wonder what Dr. King and Mega Evans and Mr. Chavez and maybe even Queen Kahahumano herself, how she would feel if they saw that they people was living today in slavery. Oh yeah, it's slavery, child. They slaves to drugs. I think of all that they did and how far we should have come. But now, I just wonder about that. You know, Ray deals drugs. Ray deals death to his own peoples.
Ray don't sell drugs to children, Big Mama.
Oh, Jean, honey, don't you know that everybody is somebody's child? And we all children of God. Don't you know that people have a right not to have their lives messed up by the Ray Hendersons of this world? Oh, baby, he deals death. And he's got his own mama working for him. Oh, yeah, he's making the stuff up there at their house. And her house is her own mama's house. And there's a baby up there about 6 months old. Uh-huh. A baby. You know, that house could go up just like that anytime now. One went up last week. I saw it on the news.
No way.
Oh, yeah, child, shoot. He's a death dealer. A death dealer. Now, look. You're gonna be coming on up out of here, and you're gonna be on parole, and I want you to go straight this time.
Mama, is Darren sleeping better?
Yeah.
Does he still have those screaming fits? I'll never forgive myself for using while I was pregnant with him. Big Mama, do you think God will forgive me for using while I was pregnant?
Oh, yes, honey. Yes.
You really think so? You really think so, Big Mama?
Baby, you need to forgive you. God done already done forgive you.
I feel different this time, Big Mama. I feel like I can really stay clean.
Oh.
But I always say that.
Oh, no, child.
I ain't never been inside this long, Big Mama. I mean, long time away. It's like being here, Big Mama. It gave me time to think. And they be bringing in the AA and the NA meetings. And I've been meeting some real good people up in here, Mama.
That's nice, baby. That's nice.
Big Mama, you really think God will forgive me?
Oh, baby.
Tell me about the day of the
incident?
Yes.
Oh, God. It happened on a Saturday. Jesse took the kids over to his brother's house to watch football on TV. And I went to work that morning, but I got off early so I could go and see my mother-in-law. I wanted to talk to her. I hoped that she would help me. I don't know why I went over there. I should have known better. I needed to talk to somebody. I needed to talk to somebody Jesse would listen to. I mean, I was looking for some support, and I thought she'd be on my side. Sorry. Jesse told me how his old man would beat his mother senseless. And I thought, with her being a woman and all, and my kid's grandmother, and how I knew that his dad had beat her the way Jesse was beating me. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought she could talk to Jesse. I mean, sometimes a guy will listen to his mother. And even though things had gotten really bad in our marriage, I still loved him, okay? I thought maybe the two of us could talk to him and talk him into going into some counseling or something.
Go on.
Well, for the first time I went on and I told her about the abuse, all the times to the ER, all the missed days of work, and I told her about when he'd beat me up and make me have sex with him, and I mean, he made me have sex with him in front of the kids. I mean, yeah, right in front of them. He made me. But, you know, I mean, I told her about, I mean, it's why my kids are so nervous and jittery all the time, and why they still wet the bed. I mean, and I had proof. I had a fresh black eye from the night before. I just started crying, and I couldn't stop it, and at that point, I didn't even care anymore. I looked up from all my bawling and carrying on, and she looked like she didn't even want to hear anything I had said. I knew she wasn't going to help me. There was no way she was going to side with me instead of her son. It just wasn't going to happen. I mean, she said things like, Jesse's a good son. She said, you're not so innocent. She said things like, you made your bed, now you gotta lay in it. She said things like, I needed to be paying more attention to being a wife and a mother, and how her son needed this and maybe a little of that, and all from yours truly. I don't know. It was like she hadn't even heard anything I said. And it was like telling Mama. It was like telling Mama about it, about how it hurt me and all the abuse. She was making it out, she made it out like it was all my fault. And there I was, all alone, all over again. I don't know. I didn't even bother to say goodbye. I just walked home. I walked home. I mean, she must have been on that phone to Jesse before I even got off the porch, because I hadn't been home 10 minutes and he showed up. I mean, he showed up and all hell broke loose. I was standing at the kitchen sink. I still had my work clothes on, and he walked in, and I knew. I could smell it on him. He'd been on the pipe. I mean, he didn't do it all the time, but when he did, and when he was drinking, I mean, before I could say, where's the kids, he punched me in the stomach. And he said, bitch, you're gonna die today. And then I was bent over and he whacked me up alongside the head. He started cussing me in Filipino and in Japanese, she by this and she by that, and oh my, I mean, I'd been punched. I've been punched, lots. But this time was different. He meant to kill me. I mean, he meant to kill me. And I tried to fight back, but he just kept punching me, and he kept punching me, and I just felt like I was getting so dizzy, and he was just hitting me in the face really fast, and I felt my knees getting really weak, and I was afraid that if I went down that it'd be all over. So I just I was like, reached behind me on the sink, and I just grabbed whatever was there, and I just hit him, you know, and I hit him right there, and it was a kitchen knife. And I don't know, for the life of me, I can't recall why I was even in the kitchen, or why I even was at the sink. And
that's what men do, I guess.
Yeah, I guess they just get off work and, you know, make a beeline for the kitchen. I guess that's just what they do. I was reaching for something to hit him to make him stop hitting me. My hands grabbed something off the kitchen counter, and I just hit him with it. You know, I hit him right there. Just, oh. So put your knife, and I killed him.
baby, there was something I wanted to tell you. I called the police on Ray, and I told them about his little nasty business and the house, and they took him to jail, and his mama too. Then CPS came and took the children. They took the little baby. Nobody knows it was me that called him. I just wasn't gonna let him, get in your life once you got out. I just couldn't sit by and let him continue carrying on that old dirty drug business. I just thought you ought to know.
Mary, that's my sister's name. She's gonna get legal,
Custody.
yeah, custody, legal custody of my children. I get to sign the papers tomorrow. Giving them to her, you know. Once I sign the papers, she'll be able to get money and food stamps and medical and insurance and, you know, the stuff that the kids are gonna need and stuff like that. My little boy, he needs hearing aids. Jesse never really paid attention to stuff like that. And Jugs made him just kind of blow that kind of stuff off, things that were important. Still, I didn't make it right, and you know, still just don't make it right when I did and all. My children will grow up with no father on account of their mother killed him, and now they don't even have a mother anymore because I made my sister promise to never bring him here. Not ever. Not ever. I've done enough damage to those kids. I mean, I can't do any more for them. Don't you think? Me and Jesse done messed their young lives up enough. At this point, I don't care. I don't care. This is the least I can do for him, and I can't make up to him what I've done. Oh God, I can't bring Jesse back.
Do you feel any remorse for what happened?
That's a hell of a question to ask somebody. It's an awful thing to kill somebody. I'm gonna have to live with that for the rest of my life. I wish that I'd just gone ahead and let him kill me. It would have been better than to have it this way. I love Jesse. I love Jesse. Even after everything that he did to me, I still loved him. He was the father of my children. I didn't marry him to kill him. I didn't mean for my babies to have to grow up and be orphans.
Angie, I'm sorry. That was so insensitive. No more stupid questions. I understand you won your appeal.
Winning an appeal. And the judge telling you that you're gonna get to go home and be with your children, that's really two different things. Appeals, like everything else, cost money. And If I'd had money, I wouldn't have had a public defender, and I probably wouldn't have ended up in this place anyway. But here I am, and it's a good chance I'm going to spend the rest of my life here. I don't know. I sure enough know I'm probably going to die here. And you know, you want to hear something really funny? I never took drugs. No. When I left Arkansas, I made up my mind that I wanted to get out of any kind of life like that. I just wanted to. I mean, Jesse tried to get me to try drugs. He tried to get me to try ice. So many lives destroyed. I never picked up his habit. Never. But it still picked me up, and it kicked the crap out of me.
We have to ask the question is, why are 60% of the people that are in our prisons Native Hawaiian? Part or varying degrees of Native Hawaiian. And I think we have to look back to the trauma that's happened to the Native Hawaiian as a people, Native Hawaiians as a people. The colonization, the impact of losing spirituality, losing all their avenues to culture and language and all those things has had a traumatic effect. And I think that we need to begin to look at how do we need to relate differently to these people that are in our community, that are in jail, that are in prison, basically because they've been traumatized. And we need to treat people differently. If you're a young person thinking about beginning to use drugs, or you found yourself already using drugs, it's important that you reach out and begin to talk to people. The kinds of things that happen in our brain chemistry when we're on drugs that are as powerful as ice are very, very damaging. And it's very, very hard to come back to a normal state. It takes time. And it's very, very hard to undo the kinds of things that happen in terms of our relationships and losing trust of our friends and family and people around us when people use these drugs. A lot of things happen that damage the relationships. So be sure, if you're in that situation, to start to talk to somebody. There are many places that you can go, many people that you can talk to. Talk to people at school. Find a trusted counselor or an adult that you can talk to. Find a way to reach out, and hopefully, if you have been caught in this because of trauma in your life, some kind of abuse, that you can get the kind of help that you need so that you can heal and move away from this and move back into functioning well in your life and in our community.
Aloha kako. My name is Carrie Ann Shirota, and I'm the director of MEO's Best Reintegration Program. I'm also here to speak with you today about the ways in which we can promote successful reentry as a person who was born and raised on the island of Maui, and that I consider this special place, my home. One of the things we need to consider when we talk about successful reentry is the number of men and women who are leaving prison today and returning home to our community. To place this into perspective, I'd like to share some numbers with you. Currently, the state of Hawaii incarcerates approximately 6,000 persons. Of those 6,000 persons, half of those individuals are transferred to prisons on the American continent, which means that they are removed from our aina and from their families, which has a severe impact upon family reunification. The other part of it is that 97% of all men and women who are incarcerated will return home someday. So we need to take a look at effective ways of reintegrating them into the community to become healthy and contributing members of our community. The Best Reintegration Program is one of the ways that we can promote successful reintegration. BEST provides training, education, and support services in the areas of case management, housing, employment, family reunification, cultural renewal, cognitive skills, substance abuse treatment, mental health, and other support services. We provide support services in those areas because they have been identified as barriers to successful reintegration. By all means, the BEST program is not the only way that we can support successful reintegration. We can do so by also volunteering and donating our time and resources to other community programs and educational institutes that address the factors that often contribute to incarceration and the cycle. And those areas are poverty, lack of education, broken family and homes, violence in the homes, and histories of substance abuse. By addressing those areas, we can help prevent our keiki from going into prison, and also those who, once they enter, if we provide treatment and training in those areas, that they do not have to repeat the cycle of incarceration. And it's a very sad day when we look at the numbers in our community and realize that children whose parents are incarcerated are 6 times more likely to end up in prisons ourselves. And we have to look at ways to break that cycle of incarceration. Another thing that we can do to promote successful reentry in our community is by providing second chances. In our community, men and women who leave need employment to pay for their bills, support their family, and move forward in their lives. Employers who give men and women who have conviction records, past conviction records, a second chance contribute to promoting safety in our community. Another area that's much needed is providing affordable housing, housing that provides a safe and sober environment for men and women who leave prison and often are recovering from substance abuse histories. In addition, we must provide new and positive support peer circles for men and women leaving prison. The BEST Reintegration Program has a mentoring program where we ask men and women in our community to serve as sort of life coaches for a year. And they shadow that person who is transitioning from prison into the community and providing just encouragement, support, and keeping them on track so that they do not return to prison. That is one concrete area that you can make a difference in our community. Another area that we can promote successful reentry is taking a look at our current policies relating to criminal justice. Let's support and testify in support of initiatives, policies, legislation that promote successful reentry, such as providing alternatives to incarceration, providing education, substance abuse treatment, and other training while men and women are incarcerated. Rather than have them warehoused in our prisons, it is important that we provide the training and the support while they're incarcerated and not wait until they're released into the community. And it's almost inevitable that they end up back in prison. Let's also testify and oppose policies, initiatives that do not promote successful reentry and actually exacerbate the situation so that people come back to prison. Specifically, I'd like to talk about the 3 strikes bill that was passed by the Hawaii legislature this past session. That bill would incarcerate men and women convicted of violent crimes on their 3rd offense. Automatically, a judge would sentence a person to 30 years to life. By locking people up and throwing away the key, we're effectively saying that these men and women do not deserve a 2nd or 3rd chance, that they are not worthy of change, that they cannot change. And the men and women that I work with in the BEST Reintegration Program have been convicted of serious and violent crimes, and yet they have turned their lives around, they've rebuilt their relationships with their families, they reconnect with our community through plays such as The Queen's Story. They give back, and we need to give our brothers and sisters that extra chance to become a part of our successful community. Mahalo.